All right, hello there. So thank you for joining us. This is an update on the Safe Streets Long Beach Action Plan effort. My name is Rachel Junkin. I'm a transportation planner here for the city and the Public Works Department. We have Michelle Mowry here, a Mobility and Healthy Living Programs Officer, as well as Paul Van Dyke, our Traffic Engineering Associate.
Hello, Long Beach.
Today we're going to do kind of an overview of the Vision Zero policy that was adopted in 2016, a little bit about the work that went into drafting our action plan, some of the recommendations and next steps. We're thinking the plan will be released and at City Council early 2020. And we encourage folks to go to our Go Active page for any updates. So we'll have a link at the end of the presentation, but just so you know, longbeach.gov/goactivelb, you'll see the Safe Streets LB link, and there's some graphics there that you'll see in the presentation, and any updates will be on that page. So be sure to refresh that as the months go on. All right. So let me go to the next slide here. All right. So what is Safe Streets Long Beach? So in 2016, the City Council adopted a Vision Zero effort with the goal of eliminating both traffic fatalities and serious injuries in 10 years. So that goal is 2026. So basically, to achieve this goal, we're developing this action plan. It's very data driven. We've done a lot of collision analysis. Later in the presentation, Paul will get a little bit into what we found in that collision analysis. And the plan will have both a lot of engineering solutions, but we're also looking at new policy, safety education efforts, as well as additional enforcement. So it's a really multi-pronged approach to achieving this goal. And we know that cities across the country are adopting similar policies and action plans, and those that are really committing funds and resources to this effort have seen a decrease in these serious injuries and collisions on their roadways. So we're hopeful this plan will do the same. So the graphic on the right on this slide gives you kind of a look at some of our collision analysis when it comes to vulnerable users on our roadways. So on the left, you'll see that bicyclists, pedestrians, and motorcyclists make up 14% of those involved in traffic collisions. But as far as fatal and serious injury victims, they make up 65%. So they're very overrepresented when it comes to our fatals and serious injury collisions. They're much more vulnerable on our roadways. So a little bit about the philosophy of Vision Zero. So basically, this is looking at fatal and serious injury collisions as preventable instead of an accepted part of our traffic network. And the graphic on the right shows a little bit about the approach that this philosophy takes. So instead of trying to prevent all crashes, we're really looking at preventing specifically the fatal and severe injury crashes. So we know that people make mistakes, but we need to create an environment that when they do, these aren't fatal errors. And this also will kind of change traditional engineer design thinking as far as efficiency and speed. Really, we want to make sure that the #1 priority when designing our streets is the health and safety of everyone on the roadway. It's also a really important effort at this time because we know that our fatal and serious injury collisions are on the rise, both across the country and here in Long Beach. In 2013, we had 99 fatal and serious injury collisions. And just 4 years later, we had 149. And we also know that beyond the human costs of traffic collisions, there are also significant economic costs that also should be considered. So moving on to community input. So this was a very data-driven effort, but we also went out into the community and solicited feedback and wanted to hear what residents' concerns were as far as safety goes. So we did 9 event pop-ups throughout the city at events like Festival of Flight and the Jazz Fest. We also had some smaller focus group listening sessions. And then we've been presenting at neighborhood meetings throughout this year. And so the main thing people are saying, there's a few things. Distracted driving is #1 as far as safety concerns go. #2 is vehicle speed. And #3, what we're hearing from folks is they want to see more bike infrastructure where bicyclists and vehicles are further separated. And just like the philosophy of Vision Zero, folks want to see a multi-pronged approach. They want to see street design try to tackle some of these issues, but there is obvious acknowledgement that education and enforcement are really going to be critical to achieve our Vision Zero goal. And we had a number of people at the table while drafting this plan. We had a technical advisory committee because a lot of these folks will be integral in actually implementing the recommendations. Folks like police and fire were at the table, as well as other departments in the city like health and development services. We also had Long Beach Transit and the school district at the table. And our advocates and nonprofit groups, we had the Long Beach Gray Panthers, who represent older adults, as well as Walk Long Beach, Walk Bike Long Beach, and Bikeable Communities. And they really helped draft some of the recommendations and steer us in the right direction. So now I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who's going to talk a little bit about some of our collision analysis.
Hi, I'm Paul. Just to remind you again of what I do at the city, I'm one of the Public Works Department's traffic engineering associates. And I spend a lot of time doing roadway design and also analyzing the conditions on our roadways, and collisions are some of those conditions. So, looking at what are the primary causes of crashes are the first step in addressing, resolving those crashes and making the streets safer. So the most frequent violation that we see is speeding. And the graphic here on the right shows you the impact that speeding has on the safety of the roadway user. So if a vehicle is able to slow down to 20 miles an hour before they collide with a person, that person is 13% likely to have a fatality or severe injury. But if the vehicle either doesn't slow down or it decelerates from a higher speed to 40 miles an hour, all of a sudden that crash is 73% likely to result in a very serious injury or fatality. So right there, that's a very quick way to address some of these severe crashes, is just lowering speeds on our streets. Another factor is lack of compliance with our signal controls out there. It would be great if the city's engineers could put signs up and stoplights and everyone would just obey them all the time. But unfortunately, that's just not what happens. So that's a behavior that needs to be corrected. Also, wrong side of the road riding by cyclists is a cause of crashes. Riding on the wrong side of the road may have been how some of our users were instructed to ride their bicycles, but it does put them outside of the expected area for motorists who are making right turns or driving down the street. So now these are just the top 3. There's a lot of other unknown factors that contribute to crashes, and there are also other known factors, but this is just the top 3. So those were the types of crashes that happen, but now we're going to talk a little bit about where they happen. Fatal and serious crashes happen the most on arterial streets. So the graph here tries its best to show that while we have many, many miles of local streets, most of the crashes actually happen on the principal arterials, which we only have 71 miles of. So the majority of traffic eventually ends up on arterials, and that's where the majority of the crashes happen. And 83% of the corridors that are high risk are in disadvantaged communities. So obviously, looking at this not just from a safety lens, but from a social justice lens, making a priority to make these streets safer is critical. So now we've addressed what the problem is, but what do we do about it? So here's our list of proposed actions to reduce the number of fatal and serious crashes. Number one is to dedicate resources. We can talk all day about crashes, but without resources to do something about it, it's really not going to be that big of a change. So putting resources behind these types of actions. Also, number two is addressing speeding, whether that's through enforcement or roadway design. That gets into number three, best practice street design, designing roadways where it may not even be possible to drive faster than 40 miles an hour, either through traffic calming measures or better coordination and the way we think about signal timing. More safety education is something that we heard back from the community. It's something that's needed. So educating people about wrong way riding, wearing helmets, not being distracted. That's important as well. One thing that I'm really passionate about is collecting better data so we can make better decisions. If you get good input, you'll get good output. So the more information that we get and the better information we get about where crashes are happening and why they're happening, the better equipped we'll be to address those crashes. Just keeping on going down the list, prioritizing road safety investments through an equity lens, just like in that last slide, the majority of our serious fatal significant corridors are in areas that are disadvantaged. So those will be areas that need significant investment. And as always, partnerships are critical to delivering any kind of project. So partnering with both local and regional stakeholders are critical to the success of this program. Rachel, you ready for this slide?
Sure.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, the action plan is currently in draft form, and we're wrapping it up now. And on our longbeach.gov/GoActiveLB website, you'll see all the graphics we talked about, and we'll keep it updated when the draft plan is released. And there's an email there, the GoActiveLB at longbeach.gov email. If you have any questions or concerns about the plan, please feel free to send us an email. And yeah, that's it. And always follow us on social media for updates as well. And yeah, we appreciate you watching and your support, and feel free to shoot us an email with any questions. That's it. Thank you.